Hello and welcome to my weekly video blog, and today on A Vogel Talks Menopause I'm going to be talking about comfort eating in the perimenopause and menopause and the causes and how you can help yourself. If you like my tips and advice, then please subscribe and remember to hit the bell icon so you can be notified of all my new videos. Most of us will comfort eat at some point because of something. And I know I do. I'm very much a comfort eater. But the problem is that when you approach the perimenopause and menopause, you can become even more prone to what's called emotional eating. So I'm going to look at what causes this, the symptoms, how you can figure out whether it is emotional eating, how it can impact on you, and what you can do to help yourself. So one of the things about comfort eating is we're more prone to do it anyway. If we are tired, if we are stressed, if we're bored. And during the perimenopause and menopause, we're much more on an emotional roller coaster, so that these feelings can be heightened on a more regular basis. So we're going to get this desire to eat like this more and more. But it can also be other emotions as well. So in the perimenopause and menopause, we can feel things like sadness, fear, and these are big emotions that sometimes we have no idea how to control them, and they very often come on very suddenly. And this is when we have this need. We need something to soothe us, to calm us down, to make us feel better. And of course, the first thing we tend to do is we reach for food to give us that kind of satisfaction. Other symptoms that can cause emotional eating is poor sleep. We know that if you don't sleep well, you're going to be more prone to overeat. You're going to be more hungry the next day. Fatigue is another one too. If you're really tired, you very often want something that gives you a quick boost and just to make you feel better, to make you feel more energetic. It's often really common to turn to food for comfort when we can't cope with things. So this can be stresses and strains at work, with the family, just with life in general. The problem is that when we comfort eat, it soothes us instantly, but when we finish, it's not fixed the problem. And it often makes things worse because then we feel guilty because we've eaten a whole packet of biscuits in one go. We feel guilty that we have no self-control, that we just, everything's going out of control. And also we're more prone to putting on weight. So if we're comfort eating on a regular basis, very often this will lead to weight gain. And then of course we'll start to feel guilty about putting on weight. And this whole emotional eating can become a real vicious cycle of anxiety, stress, feeling down, eating, feeling worse, and so on. The reason this happens is that when we eat nice foods, sweet foods, comfort foods, it makes us feel good, and that releases a chemical in the brain called dopamine. And dopamine is one of our feel-good chemicals. So we tend to reach out for things. It will be sweets, biscuits, cakes. It will be things like junk food, sometimes high salt foods as well. And this will give us that really instant hit, but it's also going to shoot our blood sugar levels up. They're going to suddenly dip when you're finished, and that can pull your mood down really, really quickly. So you then need something to lift your mood up again. So again, it can be a real vicious cycle. So how do you know that what you're doing is emotional eating rather than physical hunger? So there are quite a few signs that just give you a quick idea. So the first one is you suddenly feel like something to eat. Now, just be aware that in the perimenopause and menopause, because of all the physical changes that are going on, our nutritional needs go sky high. And very often you will find your hunger increasing. Even if you eat reasonably well, you may find that you get hungry a lot sooner after you've eaten. But emotional hunger, what's going to happen here, you're going to get a sudden, it's just like, I have to eat now, rather than the hunger sort of creeping up quite gradually. You find that if you've had a difficult situation, maybe you've been upset about something, you need to eat straight after it. So that's the emotional eating as well. It's nothing to do with your body being hungry, but your emotional self is needing soothing and it's needing comforting. It's an urge to eat when you're in any of these emotional or difficult emotional situations. So it's hunger as a craving. So rather than thinking, oh, I'm hungry, what am I going to have to eat? What am I going to cook for my dinner? It's this really sudden need of, I need something sweet. I need something that will give me a hit right at this moment. So what you will find too is that with the emotional eating, when you've eaten something, you immediately feel better. But as I mentioned before, very often it's very short-lived, and then maybe, the blood sugars go up and down, and then the whole process starts again. So what can you do to help yourself? So first of all, it is about looking after our emotional well-being. It's so important. This is where we really need to put ourselves first in the perimenopause and menopause. So if you find that you're getting all the emotional issues, or your emotions are going up and down, then these need to be stabilized. And the more stable your emotional self is, the less likely you will be to do the comfort eating. So you can look at things like your vitamin B complex. You can look at doing your deep breathing, slow deep breathing. Remember to try and sort your sleep. So if sleep's an issue, that will need to be sorted as well. You will also find that get your regular meals, exercise too. That's really important, because exercise also releases those feel-good chemicals. So you can supplement one with the other. Water is so important, because what happens here is that dehydration can affect the nervous system. It can also affect your blood sugar levels. So your blood sugar levels can plummet. That brings your emotional self down. You then need to eat something. So keep yourself really well hydrated here. Also, hunger can be, you can feel hungry when in fact you're thirsty. So again, if the hunger comes on really quickly, a big glass of water, try that first, see how you get on. You might find that just sorts things out really, really quickly. Limit your junk food at home. Try not to have things in the house so you won't get tempted. I just don't keep biscuits or lots of really, the baddies at home, because I know that if I have a low moment, I'll be in the cupboard eating everything in sight. So when you don't have things to hand, you're less likely to reach for them. And it also gives you a moment or two just to start the deep breathing and to calm yourself down as well. You can look at calming herbs such as passion flower and the herb Avena sativa. These are both lovely at helping to calm the emotions down too. Go for a walk if the weather's nice. Go out, get that the feel-good hormones going whilst you're having a walk, or look at other things to distract yourself. Maybe sit down and have a read at a book, or just catch up with one of your TV programs instead of going into the cupboards. You can look at mindful eating. This is it's a sort of process you can learn, where you are much more focused on what you're eating. You're looking at the food, you're smelling it, you're tasting every mouthful, you're eating really slowly. So that's helping you, again, to control what you're eating and how much you're eating at any one given time. You could also do a diary, maybe look at when are you getting the cravings, when are you doing the comfort eating? because very often it can happen at the same time every day. And if it is happening at the same time every day, then there's another trigger going on. It could be that you're just not eating enough. So you're getting really, really hungry and your blood sugars are so low that you're craving those sweet things. You can also remember to eat well. This is so important. When we're in the perimenopause and the menopause, weight is an issue, and an awful lot of women want to go on a diet. They think it's the only way that's going to help. So the food intake, calorie intake is reduced. That makes you more and more hungry. It affects your blood sugar levels. That affects your emotions. So it can make you much more emotionally vulnerable and you're more likely to crave. So eating enough at each meal and having little snacks in between is actually one of the best ways to stop the comfort eating, because you won't get the emotional roller coaster and you won't get the cravings to eat things. So I hope you found this one helpful. It's a huge issue. I know what it's like. I've been there and done it myself, and I know just the sort of impact it can have on you generally. So if any of you out there have experienced this, what did you do to stop it? How did you help yourself? Please share your stories, because we really do love to read all about them. And until then, I will see you next week for another edition of A. Vogel Talks Menopause.